Everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons Doom Biscuit, and where I'm back to the Unknown God build. The Unknown God's name was Kinezar. I forgot what it was. But essentially, I have done a base coat of black spray on him, and I've come back and dry brushed him with some white and some spots to get some ideas of where some detail or some things we can use to make him look good are. I don't have an exact color scheme plan for him, but I think what I want to do is I want to paint him orange. So to do orange, I'm going to start with red. And I'm going to paint him in red. And then I'm going to do some stripes on him. So I've got a brush here. And I'm going to get this red. And this is a fairly bright red. And then I'm just going to coat him entirely in this. And I don't care if I don't catch every little single spot. You know me. But I want to catch most of it. This red's a little bit thin, and that's okay. If we try to go orange directly over that, I have a sneaking suspicion that it's not going to be super good coverage, and we're going to fight with it. But with the red underneath and the orange on top of that, I think we'll be able to do something. I don't want him to be like a bright and vivid orange either. I want him to be kind of a dingy orange, but I think we can capture what we need to capture using some washes or something. I don't think we need to panic right now and get too excited. Okay. I think we got all of them, or at least the majority of them. Cool. Let's dry them off. Now, because this is a video format, you get to see me use magic item. In real life, I'd probably walk away and come back later. +5 hotter gun burning, showing off my extensive ability to use magic items. Cool. He looks more like a lobster man than a spider man at the moment. That was not what I was going for. I wanted him to be a chaotic, evil kind of god of madness and crazy time, silly badness. I don't know. So, I'm going to get a color called chestnut. And this is a brownish orange. And I'm going to get a soft makeup brush from the Dollar Tree, something like this. Well, something just like this. And there's some weird bristle stuff there. I don't like them. Let's just snip those off. That ain't cutting shit. There we go. There we go. Something like that. So I'm going to clean that off. And we're going to wipe a lot of that away. Then we're going to start hitting them with this tannish, reddish, light brown, orangish kind of deal. And you want to kind of get this all over the best you can, in the nooks and crannies, and all up in his butt cheeks. His butt cheeks are kind of gone now because of the way we built him. So don't worry about his butt cheeks too much. We had to cancel Kids D&D today because one of the little boys has been working really hard to save up for a car so that someday, in like, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years, when he turns 16, he'll have enough money for a car. He's a very driven young man. And I have the utmost faith that he will achieve his goal. This is a very orangish color as it is. I feel like you could work from here and get what you wanted out of it with the orange. So I think that's going to be the plan, is to use this as my base coat. It over top of the red is definitely capturing the orange vibe well enough for what I wanted. You, of course, will be working on your own and have to figure out how you want to pull it off. But my Knezer is going to be a brownish orange, like this. Okay. Gross, gross, and gross. Now, using a beige color, I'm going to be using khaki. I'm going to get a little bit of khaki with that orange that I already have, that orangish brown I already have on my brush. I'm going to fabricate a little bit brighter of a shade. And I'm just going to kind of hit around some spots to lighten him up a bit. Alright, now we're going to call that a win, and we're going to set that off to the side. And let's get something and dry him off real quick. Alright, I'm getting a bigger brush, and I'm looking for something that's got a soft, long kind of bristles that I can play with. There we go, something like that might work. And this is a reddish brown called Chocolate Bar. So I'm going to get some water on my cardboard here. And I'm going to get some of that Chocolate Bar. I'm going to get a little bit more water. Okay. Now this brush should be able to hold a good bit. And I'm going to come around here and start making a kind of jagged stripe pattern on him. And as it dries, I think it'll look okay. I'm going to come across his legs and just do a jagged kind of deal. And just kind of bring that lightly around the back and not focusing on it too much. I'm going to do the same thing on his arms, starting up on his muscle there and just drag it along the back. And I'm going to hit the inside lightly with just a thin line to where it kind of brings it together. Okay, now I'm going to get a little more of that and a little bit more water. And then I'm going to drag it all along the musculature here in the middle, left over from the original sculpt. And I'm just going to kind of make some jaggedy lines coming down. Now, around his face, I'm going to darken that up by getting some of that in the goops and the dupes. I'll get rid of that brush. I'm going to grab a smaller brush. And this brush, I'm going to do a couple things. I have a metallic antique copper here. I'm going to get those pinchers on his face. I'm going to paint those metallic copper. And then I'm going to do his face. Metallic copper too. And I'm going to touch his claws with that as well. All right. Sweet. I'm cleaning my brush out. I'm going to air gun him quickly. Get a really soft makeup brush. I'm going to turn this way so I can get a dry area to work. I'm going to get that little bit of khaki. Just a dibby dab, hopefully. I'm going to get a little bit of orange. And I'm going to get a tiny, tiny bit of yellow. All right, so what I want to do is get a final color. I'm going to use a piece of cloth I have here. It's an old towel to get some of that paint off the brush. Then I'm going to just kind of brush this certain spots. Gross. Nice. Just what I wanted. I'm going to get some bright green. No, screw that. I'm going to use red. This is a darker but very saturated red called flamenco red. And even though he only has two little eyes here, like that, I'm going to make just some extras with dots of paint. He has 4 now. And I'm going to come up between those two and add an extra one. And I'm going to come up under his mouth with that same red and just drag it out to the edge to where it's just noticeable, like that. Now I'm going to switch focus and hit his base. I'm going to do his base up. So, Knezer has some pretty interesting abilities for not being a god anymore. I'll start there. If you fail 3 consecutive fear saves against him in a row, whether it be will saves, wisdom saves, charisma saves, personality saves, whatever system you're using, intelligence saves. If you fail 3 saves a row against him consecutively, you will start to believe that he is to be worshipped and that he is powerful. You will start to go mad after the first one. You will start to crave the flesh of your own species after the second fail. And on the third fail, you will be a worshiper of him. And until he is dead or out of your sight, you will serve him. Now, if you continue to fail saves beyond the third, it could become permanent that even when he's not in your presence, you will worship him. However, you will forget his horrific appearance after he's out of your sight. And even if you were to see him again, you will see him as a handsome, tall, muscular humanoid that is really, really good at climbing and smiles all the time and is beautiful, male or female, depending. It generally tends to be the opposite sex of whatever you are is what you see Knezer as. There's an unnatural attraction to your imagined impression of what he looks like. But once he's out of your sight, and the unknown god, the wild men, many of them have seen him, and many of them have not. Because even though he's been out here for operating in this area for a couple of centuries, he does not expose himself to everyone. And when he exposes himself to the party, it should only be because they've been checking the area, reading stones at the different worship sites, or reading lore about this area, or talking to educated shamans or casters that know about this kind of stuff. Or they went to a book collector or a library. They shouldn't just get this information. They have to work for it. However, once they know his name or have heard his name, if they walk back into the Crowshriek, he will engage them for fear of losing his control and power. We're just about done here. If he bites you, you will turn into whatever size category you are. You will turn into I guess you could say a camel spider kind of looking creature of that size category. And if you fail the appropriate saves, which would be like Constitution or Fortitude, Might, whatever system you're using. His bite will do it. A pinch of his claws will do it. Or a sting from his tail will do it. A sting from his tail is not as likely. But if you attack him from behind, you do have to make a save to knock an agility save or a reflex save or a dex save, whatever system, like I said, you're using to not get stung by the tail. It's almost like it has a mind of its own. Let's get a little bit of clear glue and put some flock on that base and see if we can't make it pretty. Now, at the end here of the Crowshriek, we're going to start moving into the next area that you can get to and do some questing, and that's called the Caverns of Baccaron, or Baccaron, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And they are essentially ancient remains of caverns from where some lizard-type creature, some centipede-type creatures that once ruled the world before dinosaurs or anything else had burrowed out of the center of the earth. And that area is pretty horrible. And nothing friendly really occupies that space except for a specific group of wee folk that call themselves the Wardens. And the Wardens are a peculiar group that are not really bad. They're kind of good in a way. They serve a purpose. They believe they are guarding the entire world from a return of these horrible centipede creatures. These worms that burrowed up out of the center of the earth. So the caverns are going to be a lot of fun. But I thought we had to really focus up and get the Crowshriek done before we started the caverns. And the unknown god is an important part of why the Crowshriek is what it is. Because the unknown god, Knezer, is why the Crowshriek trees exist. When he found this area, it wasn't called the Crowshriek. It was like royal hunting grounds and stuff for a king many centuries ago. And when Knezer got here, he was crying because he felt bad for himself, and his tears mixed with the things he killed and ate and started sprouting Crowshriek trees. And that's where the madness started enveloping people. Now, that's like obviously boots, and I could have painted those up a different color. I chose not to. But this is essentially Knezer and what he's about. He can climb, he can jump, he has a pounce attack. He gets an enormous bonus to grapple, and each turn he can grapple 2 separate individuals of his size category, which is large or smaller. If he does succeed on a grapple against you on the next turn, he has a free action. He does get to bite or pinch you, which would start the transformation process if you fail saves. The saves for that's relatively low to get turned into a camel spider creature. But the saves against his madness that you have to pass, you got to gear those towards the height of your party. And what you want to do is you want to kind of pick your party median save, subtract 2 or 3 from that, depending, like if you have 3 members, subtract 3 from it. If you have 4 members, subtract 2 from that, and then create a baseline of how to run him from there. Like those median saves are going to be where you kind of use as your starting point, and then the more people in the party, and the less likely it is that everyone will be succumb to it. That's how you kind of determine those DCs for stuff like that on enemies. I could do an entire class on discerning the DCs of spell-like abilities, supernatural abilities, and stuff, and it would probably bore half of you to tears. Anyways, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to hang out with me on this Sunday. It's a beautiful, beautiful cold day here in West by God. Do me a favor. Let's all try to take a second and appease those. Let's hold up regular money next to them. Appease those algorithm gods and do the like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, and all the happy crappy that makes the channel grow. Leave comments. I think that's part of it if I didn't say it. Head to the website and buy some miniatures. And I have some miniatures here. I painted one yesterday. I have some gnolls that I want to use for the Crowshriek area. It's rational that gnolls would live in an area like this where there's cannibalism, madness, and violence. So I chose gnolls. And I had the gnolls from the January box. That worked out perfectly. But these are beautiful, beautiful minis. And I want to show you the caster one that we picked for the month. Just gorgeous, gorgeous miniature. Anyways, there's a discount on the Dungeon Swag stuff right now. 40% off your first month's box if you start our subscription service. And you can cancel that at any time. So just if you want to try it out and get the discount and you don't like it, we understand, and we're not going to hate on you for that. And that happens, and we understand that's part of business. Also, join us on Discord and hang out. We'd love to meet you and see what you're crafting and what you're making. We'd like to see what your Knezer looks like. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.